After you've finished Old Main, giving it your best shot, next up, we're going to start drawing portraits. Portraits, I think, are the most intimidating drawings for some people because, well, first of all, they're easy to judge if they get it so it looks like the person or the model or whatever. But there's so much psychology that gets in the way when we're drawing portraits. But there's nothing more important than drawing portraits because it really shows if you're seeing correctly, if you're seeing things correctly. So in order to do that effectively, what you must do is to, and I have this on thick paper, I want you to cut out this oval right here on the thick paper and use it as a template. You're going to trace it, if you have your sketchbook, on 2 successive pages. If you don't, on 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 typing paper. So you're going to cut that template out so that you can use it and understand it. And we're going to first have you draw just the way in your memory, in your imagination, in your mind's eye, every face looks. This face is going to not be anybody in particular. So you're not going to be looking in the mirror as we did on the first day. You're not going to be looking at someone, or certainly not a picture of anyone yet. You're just going to use your memory to fill in this face with 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, a chin, a neck, and ears. Forget about hair right now. That's a complicated, ongoing project. So we're not going to deal with hair at the moment. So cut this out, trace around it, and let's fill it in. Spend 15 to 20 minutes doing this, giving it your best shot, making it look as real as possible, and having this face look straight ahead at you. That's the second drawing exercise for now. You've drawn your idea of what a human face looks like, looking straight ahead. So now what we're going to do is going to replace that archetype with something much more realistic, much more accurate. And this is a really, really important lesson. So pay close attention and give it your best shot. First of all, no faces are perfectly symmetrical with just a few exceptions. So we'll start with that. But that being said, because the nose and all that is right in the center, most faces are approximately symmetrical. So in order to get the parts in correct alignment, the first thing we're going to do in drawing any portrait, and I think any portrait artist doing a full frontal portrait is going to do this, is going to divide the oval into 2 equal parts. So some of us are better at visualizing that than others, but what I'm going to be able to do here is to help improve your visualization of what's straight down the middle and a half, because it's something you're going to get better at. Okay. Now this may or may not seem like it's half and half. I think it's probably a little bit farther that way. But here's how you test it to find out. So take your straight edge, and I'll put a straight edge in everybody's packet. I don't want you to use rulers because rulers get people involved with numbers. You stop thinking as abstractly as we need to be thinking. So let's not use rulers. Let's just use the straight edge I gave you, or find something else that you can use that is a straight edge. Now, what a lot of people have great trouble believing is that our eyes are halfway between the chin and the top of our heads. And I bet you, if you look back at the one from your memory, how many people have eyes way up here near the top of their head? Imagine the things we wouldn't be able to do if we had our brains in such a small space up there, the things that get us through a day. Anyway, trust me on this. You can check it out. You can see that eyes are halfway from the chin to the top of the skull. Not the hair, gets kind of confusing, but the skull. So now I have these 2 axis lines ready to go. I also have it. I was going to use this and send this to you, but then I thought, no, I have to be explaining it because that's just how I have always done it. Not that I have to do it the way I've always done it, because these are new times. But the next thing, this axis line in the center, this really hangs people up, and here's why. We have to divide this line into 5 equal segments. Now, that throws people because it's an odd number, which suggests, of course, it requires that this one in the center is half on either side of this axis line. And very, very many students have great trouble trying to get 5 equal segments across this line. But this is an important visualization, and we're going to work on it until we do, and adjust it until we get it right, or as close to right as we possibly can. Be patient with yourself. And as you may have guessed, so it's a little wide here. I'm going to adjust this side over here, so I'm leaving it for right now, because I think this is a little wider than it should be. So, in the second and the third segments of this line, we are going to draw a stereotype shape of an eyeball. Well, not the ball, but okay. Now, what some people find fascinating is most people have exactly one eye width between their two eyes. Not everybody, but the vast majority. It has something to do with ethnicity in some cases and so on. But the face is typically 5 eyes wide. But we are going to, ultimately, in a bit, you'll see, we're going to modify it over here and over here. Because frankly, a 5 eyes wide face, this is basically an oversimplification. It looks like an Easter egg. We don't have to have it that way. Okay, so now we've got eyes, and we know where they are halfway between the top of the head and the chin. And now we're going to bisect this line to equal parts. Move that down some. And the reason for that is, and this has more variation than this measurement up here. The nose is halfway, the bottom of the nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin. Now, one of the things that, and all this comes from drawing on the right side of the brain, by the way, this technique of seeing and understanding and drawing faces. Very, very important lessons going on here. Hopefully you realize that, and you'll be working along with me in this, and I'm expecting good things. Okay, so if I take from the inside corner of the eye, and I'm going to make a mark down here, this halfway point, which is the bottom of the nose, and do the same on the other side. That is the width of many noses, but not all noses. Noses have a lot more variation than the other parts. The point is, the width of the nose will have a relationship with the inside corner of the eyes. And that's the important thing to hang on to and understand and know about. So we're just going to put a little symbol shape here. Noses hang people up frequently because they say, I can't draw noses. Well, the fact of the matter is, part of the complexity of drawing a portrait is that there aren't these lines on faces. I mean, we're putting lines that don't really exist except for maybe eyebrows and some eyelashes and whatever. So anyway, so I just draw this little simple symbol of a nose shape. Remember, it has a relationship. It could be wider, it could be narrower than the inside corner of the eyes, but it will have a relationship with them. Now, let's go back up to the eyes for a second. Negative space, ad nauseum, perhaps some of you feel that way. If you draw the whites of the eyes, and if you think about that, rather than an eyeball, how many people, if you look back at your previous drawings, I bet some of you have something that looks kind of like this, maybe better than that, but something like that. As if your eyes were like, completely stretched open. That's not really what we're going for here. We're going for real human likeness here. And you're going to surprise yourself, I believe, in how much you benefit from understanding these things and grasping them. All right, now, we have this from the bottom of the nose to the chin. I want you to think of this line in thirds and make a mark on the top third, okay? That mark I just made on the top third represents the space between the top and bottom lip. So here we go. And by the way, the width of the mouth varies a lot. I've got a small mouth. People don't know that about me because I guess I use it too much. But anyway, I have a small mouth. It has a relationship, however, with the center of my eyes looking straight ahead, straight up. So I'm going to put in what is more stereotypical, and that is if you take a line straight down from the center of the eyeball and on this line here, that is the width of many mouths, not all. Again, there'll be a relationship, and that's what we're going to be working with, okay? Now, it's starting to look a little more humanoid, but there's going to be sort of an alien kind of feeling about this, without a doubt. Next, visualize a space just slightly above this halfway line, and just above the nose, we take a line over here. Now, ears are frequently undersized by naive artists as they start doing this sort of study. So I bet if you look back, you're going to see that your ears that you drew were probably very, very small. And therefore, they wouldn't be doing us all that much good. The neck is next. And so from the outside corner of the eyes down to the bottom of this, there'll be a relationship. If not exactly that. Necks vary a lot. You know, they're like steroid necks that are real big. They're anorexic necks that are real tiny. But there'll be a relationship with the outside corner of your eyes, of your model's eyes, okay? So at this point, all we're going to do now is to just, add some things that are going to make it look much more human. And have better proportions, I'm guaranteeing you, than probably that one that you had stored in your memory, depending on your experience, your background, and whatever. For all I know, you had an artist for a parent, and they were all about this, and you were knocking people out early on, because it can work that way. Now, it's really hard to know where to put lines on a face. This is a long process, and obviously there are details. I'm not going to get into hair right now because one of the things I don't want is for everybody just all of a sudden start scribbling hair, and that's not a go. So, hopefully, in your packet, you will have traced these two things, and I will just show you this as a close-up here. Maybe that's easier to see than the one I've done on the board here. Throughout all of this, students, please, throughout all of this, if you don't understand something, if there's a problem for some reason or another, please just call me. I've given you my phone number there. After 10 in the morning, before 10 at night, or if there's a serious situation, anytime. I'm here for you. You're not able to be here with me, so we're gonna make the best of this. Can you hear those bells out there? That's nice.